Hello, everyone, and welcome to the midweek program at the J.C. Raulston Arboretum. My name is Blake, and I'm the education assistant here at the Arboretum. And today we are on the rose garden corner of the Great Lawn because there is a great big rain garden over here that is full of plants like irises and hibiscus, plants that can take a large inundation of water and then can tolerate prolonged periods of drought, because we've got the good people from Raleigh Stormwater here for a garden conversation. We have Ariel Bushel, Raleigh Stormwater's communications specialist, and it just fell out of my head. Can you even believe that? Wayne Miles. It's Wayne Miles, the project manager for Raleigh Stormwater.
And just rehearsed it.
We did, honestly. Can you believe this? Seriously. And then, of course, we've got Paige, our Director of Horticulture, who's going to lead us through a conversation with these fine people from Raleigh Stormwater about all the ways that homeowners can do things in their garden to help mitigate the problems that come with stormwater and help make the environment a much more wonderful place. Those of you joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and feel free to leave a comment down below. And with the announcements out of the way, I can pass things over to Greg, Ariel, and Wayne to have us a nice little garden conversation.
Yes, excellent. First and foremost, thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
And per instructions and in keeping with the storytelling of doing this, we all deal with how we manage stormwater and that facet of gardening in our gardens, and we're not immune to that here at the J.C. Raulston. I, previously to coming here, did a lot of work with areas where we had really bad runoff, and we did that using plants instead of some of the old traditional methods, and really got the bug for doing that and managing those sorts of things. That also ties into the Piedmont Prairie, where we've had guests here to talk about that. So when I started here and saw some spots in the Arboretum that we've traditionally had a lot of trouble with, I went online and bumped into Raleigh Stormwater stuff online and perused that. And coming here from Charlotte, and I hate to show Charlotte under the bus, but I'm gonna. I think we do a much better job here than they do. A lot of big cities do a lot of work with that. It's a very important topic, but it's a very user-friendly, very interactive way on the web to find out the information that you need. So I looked through all that information. I think I sent up a flag to Ariel, and she rapidly got back in touch with me. We did a very quick Zoom with Elizabeth, and I think Mark was out of town at the time, and just got to know each other on Zoom, which was nice, and figured out that, you know, we're neighbors. We share a lot of the same ideas, and again, first and foremost, we are big on educating and informing people here on better ways to manage your landscapes, and that's what they're trying to do. So I forget who came out to meet with me that brought me the pamphlets for the stormwater.
Yes, it was Justin. And Stephen, yes, from our Raleigh Rainwater Rewards team.
Yes. Yeah. So they came out and gave us some information. We've got that in the McSwain Visitor Center so that people can kind of start with that. So in talking with Blake and Elizabeth, Blake said, let's get them in front of the camera. Let's talk to them and get to tell the stories and ask them questions and see how they can help selfishly us, our garden visitors and the people in Raleigh. And just like a lot of areas, a lot of people are moving to here for the first time and have no idea that these things are even available, and how important they are in managing your landscapes, big and small. The house that I moved into in Raleigh, they took advantage of it. The house came with rain barrels on the house. Yeah. And how lovely. That's something I've always wanted to have. So all those roads led me to have you guys come and visit. So thank you for coming. Thank you. So just want to have a conversation about it, and I'll start off with some questions. And it's something that I always like to ask people is, what got you interested in doing this? What led you to decide to do what you're doing? And, you know, how did you get there? What was the thing that kind of pulled you in to do this? And I'll start with you, Ariel.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us, first and foremost. I'm glad that we're able to partner and do a lot more together.
Absolutely.
You know, there's definitely a partnership and a relationship here that will definitely help a lot of residents in Raleigh for sure.
We hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always just been very interested in water. I've swam growing up, and I just love going to the beach. I've always loved to be around water. And so going to school, I wanted to focus more on, environmental sciences and biology, especially related to water quality. So I studied that in undergrad and graduate school. But I love to do a lot with the public and to do a lot of things with communication, especially like video production and things like that. So I focused more in that aspect. So that's kind of where I landed here with Raleigh Stormwater. It's kind of a bridge of both of those worlds with communications and outreach, but also focusing on the science and the water quality behind it. So I found this position here with Raleigh Stormwater, and I haven't looked back since. And I've been enjoying my time here for sure. And I'm learning every single day. And we're doing a lot of great things, which I always try to promote what we're doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's something that we share. As I've gone through my horticulture career, it was all about the plants, all about what's new and exciting. And so much of my focus has switched to that gardener visitor interaction and informing people on better ways to do things. So that's good that we share that.
Yeah.
And how about you?
Yeah, thanks, Gray. And first, thanks for having us on. I've never done an interview in front of an actual rain garden, so this is a great opportunity.
We dress to impress. Try our best.
And what a great example too that helping to protect the environment, providing an environmental benefit, but aesthetically it's beautiful, right?
Exactly.
So we're checking all kinds of boxes here. I think my story is similar to Ariel's. I grew up, loved to fish, loved to be outdoors, wanted to be an engineer, and started looking at what kinds of engineering and environmental sounded like the perfect fit. So I started taking classes, and it was just a natural fit from there. So graduated and got into stormwater and other wet weather programs and became a consultant. So started traveling around the country, helping programs across the country, and then quickly realized I wanted to help my community do better with their wet weather programs. So I've been here with the City of Raleigh for 6 years now, and it's really been rewarding seeing our community benefit from the work that we do as a program, related to flooding, related to water quality, and all the different programs that we can implement to help the community be safer. It's a public safety issue, improve the water quality, and really help mitigate the growing, developing community that we are, because that creates lots of challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the challenges that we deal with here, obviously, we've got a lot of open space, we've got hardscape stuff, and where does that water end up and where does it go? And oftentimes, despite our best efforts, it goes where we don't want it to go. And as we develop new garden areas, we maintain new ones, we redo areas, that has become a challenge in managing where the runoff is going to go, and wanting to do a sustainable thing and capturing it and not piping it straight into a sewer and then it goes to get treated, but capturing it, using it like in rain gardens. And we've got some other things that we're working in a direction to maybe capture it, to use it for irrigation and other things like that.
Right.
All that said, how would you best describe what your programs do? What is to tell people that are kind of either new to this area, they're old homeowners in Raleigh that have been here for a while, they're new homeowners with big and or small gardens. What do you guys do, and how do you help those people? And also kind of tucked into that, and I take this for granted, I've got friends in Cary, I've got friends in Durham. You guys don't service those areas, you take care of Raleigh. So all that kind of stuff in a nutshell.
Yeah, so our service area is the City of Raleigh. So all of our programs are available to city residents. And you'll know if you're a city resident if you pay city taxes, and if you have a stormwater fee on your water and sewer utility bill. And that's how our programs are funded as well. It's $7.36 per typical home per month. And that's what funds all of our programs. But I would say, in terms of what we really do, we're evolving the way of managing stormwater, and it's really changed fairly dramatically over the last 10 years. In the old days, it was always get rid of it as fast as possible.
Get the biggest pipe.
Get the biggest pipe, get it in a pipe, get it to the river, and get it out of the way, right? Our thinking has evolved dramatically since then. Now we want to slow it down. We want to spread it out. We want to sink it in the earth, use green stormwater infrastructure, right? So the whole idea with stormwater is when you're paving surfaces, building house roofs, the rainwater can no longer infiltrate into the ground like it has naturally before that. So we try to emphasize mimicking nature as much as possible and directing that rainfall from a roof into a rain garden where it can infiltrate into the ground and do what naturally it should do as much as possible, right? Now, you always have larger storms that you just can't capture and infiltrate it all.
Sure.
And that's where the stormwater system does still play an important purpose. And we help with flood control and flood management and floodplain management, especially, hurricane season starting in a few days here, June 1st. So we always have to prepare for those very large events too. So it's really interesting. There's so many different aspects to what we do as our program, from a public safety education during flood events to an education about how individual homeowners can actually better manage stormwater on their properties.
Right.
Absolutely. And I will say also, we always try to be proactive when it comes to, mitigating stormwater runoff.
Sure.
And I think in the past, I know you've mentioned before that it's always been a reactive situation. Someone will, submit a, complaint and say, I have a puddle in my backyard and I need the water to go away. So now we're trying to be a little bit more proactive and actually reaching out to the community and asking them, what do you want to see in your community? How can we help you? Whether it's with green stormwater infrastructure or doing some of these projects before, something may happen where a pipe fails or something like that. So,
Right. Let me back up just a little bit. Talk a little bit more about, the different aspects, public safety, and some of the educational things that you guys do, just for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, so a big part of it going into hurricane season, we're emphasizing floodplain management, flood risk management. If we get a big storm, we always emphasize, if people see a road that's flooded, turn around, don't drown, right? And it's an important motto to remember, because it happens. It continues to happen. People try to drive across flooded roads. It really only takes about 6 inches, especially if the flow's moving, to float a car, and it can be a very dangerous situation. Folks may see some of the new signs we put out, these flashing flood warning signs. If you see those are at low-lying areas that tend to flood and they're flashing, please don't drive across. It can really be a dangerous situation. So that's the emphasis right now, really. We do have a flood early warning system as well. It's really a very sophisticated system that predicts rainfall. If you've seen the Weather Channel, all those gridded rainfall patterns, we have that in-house that predicts how much rainfall and where it's going to fall. And it goes into computer models and actually forecasts where flooding is predicted to occur. And that gives us hours and sometimes a little bit longer advance notice of where problem areas may be, so that we can mobilize first responders, get barricades out if needed to protect roadways. So it's really an important part of public safety. It's the messaging, but it's also the responsiveness, and as Ariel, trying to be as proactive, get as much advance warning as possible where flooding may be occurring, and get the word out to everyone as well.
I had no idea that was part of what y'all did too. I've, as somebody new here, I've seen those things like on Crabtree Creek.
Exactly.
All those little low areas, and it sticks in your head that this is a place to avoid when the weather gets bad. Yeah, I had in my head that you guys just did the educational side of things, but I can see now where that's really important. The other thing I'm curious about is also being new. And we've mentioned this when we talked for the first time. What are some examples around Raleigh that people can go and look and see some of the projects that you've done, and describe some of those projects that you guys have worked on?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So we have a lot of different wetlands and also bioretention areas, which are also similar to rain gardens. One in particular that pops in my head is actually at the Raleigh Rose Garden. So a lot of people don't know that we have a bioretention area in the Raleigh Rose Garden right next to the roses. And we actually did kind of a collaboration with Raleigh Parks, and they maintained that that bioretention area for us throughout the year.
Wow.
We also have a wetland at the Walnut Creek Wetland Center,
Yes.
which is kind of in South Raleigh. Yep. So that's one of our very popular wetlands. It's actually a gravel wetland that we have there. And we actually recently, with Raleigh Arts, installed a educational display there that talks more about the wetland. People can interact with it. You can also put up your phone on a bracket and take a picture and send it to us to kind of help us monitor how it looks throughout the year. So those are the two in particular that stick out to me that I always enjoy visiting and also try to share with other residents to go to.
That's great. That might be on my list of things to do this weekend. I've driven by the Walnut Creek and I've been curious as to what's back there. It looks like there's like raised walkways and things that go back there.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So the big thing that I wanted to kind of dig into is how can you help some of those homeowners that I've talked about? What are some things that if, for me, for example, as an example, small house in downtown, I've got an abandoned lot next to me, and there's a puddle that forms there sometimes, but I've noticed in other houses in my neighborhood, people have some similar issues. What are the types of things that you guys offer that can help the average homeowner?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different programs that residents can be a part of. One in particular, as we talked about, is the Raleigh Rainwater Rewards Program, which we talked to you about, where residents can submit their application to us. We speak with them and we actually do a site visit to figure out which green stormwater infrastructure would work best on their property.
Right.
And then it's actually a cost share program. So depending on where you are in the city of Raleigh, you can get up to 90% cost share. So folks, when they hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds great. And we work with you throughout the entire process of picking a consultant and going through that entire process.
Permitting and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. We also have our drainage assistance program, which focuses directly on relieving drainage and also stream stabilization as well. So if you have erosion, it can be minor or major erosion. We have funding to help projects with that. And again, you submit an application to us, we do a site visit, and then we will determine kind of what's the best avenue for that type of project. And those projects are actually fully funded through our funding, again, through the utility fee. And those projects help alleviate any type of erosion or flooding that happens on citizen property, residential property.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And if there's any do-it-yourselfers, which your audience may be, we have other programs like the Buffer Builder Bag, where we can provide seedlings and live stakes. If there's erosion, for example, a small creek in your backyard that you'd like to stabilize the banks, and we have our team can come out and help teach people how to do the plantings, provide the materials, and help stabilize and show, maintenance techniques and so forth as well. So there's quite the spectrum, I think, of assistance available. Encourage anyone to get on our website at raleignc.gov and look at the variety of programs we have and see what might be the best fit. And reach out to, give us a call, drop us an email if there's any questions. We're glad to help consult and even make site visits to folks' properties to give them some ideas of what could be done.
That's a good suggestion, because we do have a lot of do-it-yourselfers that want to kind of figure out the best way to do those sorts of things. It's as the cities have grown and more people move here, it's smaller and smaller homes. And I think that's made your jobs harder because you've got more homes on smaller lots and there isn't a lot of room for the water to go anywhere. That's kind of what I've noticed in Charlotte and here as well. So homeowners are a big part of your audience. Do you do anything from like commercial folks? And we mentioned, I think before we got on camera, about stuff that you're doing with the horticulturist in the city itself. Can you talk a little bit about those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So the programs that Ariel mentioned, the rainwater rewards and the drainage assistance, are all available not only to residential but commercial. And we actually have had some fairly large projects where commercial parking lots have been retrofit to add rain gardens and bioretention areas. And that's huge in terms of downstream water quality benefits as well. But I'm sorry, what was the question, Greg?
You mentioned before we got on camera about doing some stuff with the city itself. Meeting with the city horticulturalist.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So the city actually has recently passed what we call our Green Stormwater Infrastructure Policy, which says any capital project that the city does that moves earth and is because we're a developer too, has to consider how green stormwater infrastructure can be incorporated into that project. And the stormwater program, say it's a Parks Department project, the stormwater will add funding to that overall project to incorporate green stormwater infrastructure. There's lots of great examples of that. The Dix Park Gibson Play Plaza that's under construction right now, we provided additional funding to put bioretention in to treat runoff from the parking lot in that area. They're building a constructed wetlands downstream of the play area that routes the stormwater through a marshy wetland area. And we're going to be putting green stormwater infrastructure on the new city tower, Civic Tower project in terms of a green roof. So there's a lot of opportunities that we have to help the city be better. And exciting development, this is in our FY fiscal year 25 budget right now, which is about to get voted on by council, but we've gotten some good feedback. We are providing, requesting funding for a new green stormwater infrastructure maintenance crew that will be an in-house staff crew in the Parks Department that helps maintain all of that GSI from an ongoing basis.
That's great.
And then, and the reason we put that crew in Parks, to your point, Parks has the resources. They have the horticulturists in-house. They know what types of plants need to be planted. They know how to maintain those plants. So it's really natural, collaborative partnership between our department and the Parks Department to put in GSI and then make sure that it's maintained and then it's aesthetically pleasing and looking nice too, because I don't want to undersell at all the social benefits of having green stormwater infrastructure is so important, right? And it's an opportunity really to get all of these mutual benefits together. We're getting good stormwater management, environmental protection, but then just having green spaces around is so important as well.
And I will also add, we were talking about, the train earlier. The Raleigh Union train station actually has a green roof, and many people don't know that. But there is a green roof there, and also the parking lot is permeable pavement, which helps, again, soak in that water and spread it out. So there's definitely a lot of different, examples throughout Raleigh, even commercially, that we've, been able to incorporate, that infrastructure there.
That's really cool. I think a lot of those things kind of go unnoticed. That those things are going on, but it's such an untapped resource. I think about green roofs and having traveled to places like Chicago, where that's such an important part of what they've done in a really, really concrete and asphalt environment. And it's always kind of been untapped in cities this size and smaller. What would you say? We've blown through my questions, which is good. This is all stuff that I was really interested in and wanted to share with our audience. What are some take-home things that you would want to tell people? Why should they be interested? Just some deeper things like that you want to tell folks that might be listening and tuning in when this gets released on YouTube. Well, I will say that we always try to have a one water sort of mentality, right? The water doesn't stop at the edge of the municipality lines, and so we always try our best as much as possible to think about not just Raleigh but also extending outside of that. So we definitely try to work with our partners around the city of Raleigh to hopefully promote and incorporate green stormwater infrastructure around us. Also with pollution prevention as well, making sure that not just within Raleigh but also around us that we are being cognizant of that and making sure that pollution isn't going into our streams and rivers, because that does all flow downstream into other areas. So just kind of thinking of it that way, right? Like water isn't isolated, in a city. It's connected all around us. So we have to make sure that we are, making sure we're being intentional with protecting water that's all around us. It's not a limitless resource.
Right.
A lot of people think, you turn the tap on and it just comes from, it's magic.
Right.
It's not an unlimited resource. I just had a great question in my head and it went and evaporated.
Well, if I could follow up
please.
On Ariel's lead. So Crabtree Creek, Walnut Creek are
Yes.
the two major creeks that drain Raleigh, all go to the Neuse River.
Mm-hmm.
And the Neuse River is identified as nutrient-sensitive waterway.
Yeah.
So it's very sensitive to nitrogen, phosphorus, and urbanization, and everything else that we do as a society contributes more nutrients to the Neuse River. So everything that we do that helps manage nutrients better makes a difference.
Yeah.
Every property can make a difference.
Yeah.
Installing a rain garden, again, infiltrating that stormwater rather than washing nutrients off into the creeks.
Yeah.
That infiltration, it's good for the soil. Nutrients are important for growth. So every person can better manage their stormwater, and it makes a difference downstream, because we're mostly at the upstream end of the Neuse River Basin.
Yeah.
So it's really as part of that watershed community, and we want to be good stewards of our environment.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I wanted. One of the many reasons I wanted y'all to come today was it doesn't matter how big your impact is, where you live, an apartment or whatever, you're still impacting it.
Right.
Yes.
When you go shopping or whatever. But I think about all those houses that are getting built around Raleigh, and that we're lucky that we have you guys kind of offering these resources. The question that popped in my head just came back in, kind of tying back into the Triangle area and again, the influx of people coming here. Are there any similar programs in Durham, in Chapel Hill, and other things that you guys network with?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that there wouldn't be, and that you guys don't benefit from having kind of that network. I know there's a bigger national thing, and you mentioned just coming from either a symposium or a conference.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-part question. What are there some local folks that you guys interact with, and hopefully that those communities are doing this as well, but how do you stay invigorated, get new ideas, and are you networking with other people like we network with other gardens?
Right. You want to take the first part of the question, or?
Yeah. So absolutely, we look at this regionally, and we have professional organizations that allow us to network with all of the communities that you mentioned. Durham, Cary are all in the same watershed as we are, but even across North Carolina. We are all permitted under the Clean Water Act, which is a national EPA mandated program. And they have some specific recommendations and requirements for our programs. We always try to go above and beyond those minimum requirements. We also collaborate through, there's the Clean Water Education Partnership, which is an organization that all of the regional communities that have stormwater programs contribute to, and they'll put out educational materials as well. So that gives us a wider spread. They go through media to spread the word in a larger area as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in regards to staying invigorated, with new ideas. It's always, beneficial, because there are people there's new ideas every day.
Yeah.
And it's always good to, reach out to even other larger cities and see what they are doing. Wayne and I actually went to a conference in Tucson, Arizona last year, which is a part of the U.S. Water Alliance.
Yep.
And so we focus a lot on equity, resiliency, and all of those kind of aspects and ideas. And so there are a lot of, big cities, New York, DC, Chicago, that are all invested in that same goal. And so we have monthly networking meetings where we talk about these things, and we, learn new ideas, and hopefully, try to implement it here in Raleigh as well.
Yeah.
But also, just in general, it's always good to just go outside and just see, what exactly is the environment saying? What is it showing? What can we do to, mitigate some of these things? And, we bounce, different ideas around all the time. We meet with, even outside consultants, to get feedback about what we could do better. So we're always looking for different ways to improve our programs and services.
Yeah. That's great. Do you enter any interactions with NC State? I know that there's certainly programs here that are doing some of these kinds of things.
We do. We're a member of what's called the Water Resources Research Institute Stormwater Consortium. And so we actually help fund research that's managed by NC State, WRI, in stormwater areas.
Yeah.
I'm actually on the technical advisory committee and just had a meeting this morning. So it's exciting to see the types of water quality research that's being done with NC State.
Yeah.
We also partner with a lot of community groups. Sound Rivers is a river keeper organization that we partner with. We're actually doing a project that has what's called a trash trout, which is a litter collection device, where we work with them. And then another community group, the Great Raleigh Cleanup, is another nonprofit community group that we help fund, and they organize cleanups of litter. They actually have a new program that's piloting that helps pay unhoused people to collect litter, and it really can make a big difference in people's lives to have their benefit that they're providing, but also get a paycheck from it that really helps change their lives in some situations. So, I think it's really important to look for those opportunities to collaborate with partners and spread the word where we can, and have mutual benefits to the community.
Absolutely. It's an important part of what we do. There's a very large local garden community, and there's a bigger one outside of that, and we do a lot of things together. Blake, I've blown through all my questions.
Great. So you guys have talked a lot about like the local cities that we can talk. We got a couple people that are from Wake County out in the sticks. What are some of the things they can do to help mitigate their stormwater problems?
Yeah, so our website has all kinds of ideas that I think would be beneficial to anyone. So I would encourage folks to go online and just do some of the research, look at some of the educational materials on there. We do work a lot with Wake County, has an environmental sciences group that has a lot of similar programs that we do. So if you're not a city resident but in Wake County, you can check out Wake County's website as well and look at the types of programs they have. They have floodplain management programs and water quality programs as well. And then, we have an Adopt a Stream program, which community groups can band together, adopt a segment of stream and do cleanups. And folks don't have to be a city resident to do that. There's lots of volunteer opportunities. We have citizen science water quality opportunities for volunteers to get involved with. So there's numerous opportunities that people can get involved, learn, and they don't have to be city residents to participate in those as well.
And I'll just go ahead and say Community Creek cleanups are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ellerby Creek Watershed Association.
There you go. Yeah.
Lots of good stuff there.
Yes.
Okay, we did have Julia, who lives in Durham. It seems as though she has a neighbor who still believes that large pipes are the way to go to get water out as fast as possible. She wants to know if there are any resources that homeowners can use to educate other homeowners.
Yeah, again, I would say the website is a great source of information. One thing Raleigh does have on our website is links to folks that sell rain barrels.
Yep.
So it might be a great Christmas gift for your neighbor to have a rain barrel.
There we go.
It might help manage some of that stormwater from your neighbor's roof.
That's only aggressively passive
That's
aggressive.
right.
But it's a good message all in all.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say you have great pamphlets. I know it's not Raleigh, but putting one of those in your neighbor's mailbox might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Passing that kind of stuff on.
And stormwater people love talking about stormwater.
Yes.
So if you call, we love talking about stormwater and talking to the public.
I will second that, because everybody that I've talked to that works with y'all have been great to bounce ideas off of and give really good, frank advice. And it's been a lot of fun and doing those things with you guys.
And I'll say City of Durham has a wonderful stormwater program too.
I can't imagine they wouldn't.
They have a website that there'd be a lot of information. And then, they're upstream of Falls Lake. So they have water quality protection is a really important part of their program as well. Falls Lake, as many know, I'm sure, is Raleigh's drinking water supply. So it has even above and beyond water quality protection requirements. And so Durham plays a really important role in keeping Raleigh's water supply cleaner as well.
and I love the tap water in Raleigh.
Yeah.
As a Raleigh native, it's really delicious here.
Oh, glad to hear
That's great
that.
to hear. Yeah, we will tell our Raleigh water folks for sure that you said that. Yeah.
It's really all I drink. Tap water. I love it.
Awesome.
It's good stuff. Okie dokie. So Diane says she's in Southwest Raleigh and her daughter's yard has a brick-lined well, which is covered with a concrete slab, and it has openings for rainwater to enter and underground pipes into it. She doesn't know what it is, and she wants to know how she can figure out exactly what it is and how it can be maintained.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It'd be hard without seeing it, but
Yeah.
you know, if she wanted to reach out and send us an email or reach out to our drainage assistance folks, we have people that can come out, take a look at the property, give some guidance and some diagnosis. You know, it sounds like it could just be a really old well, right?
It's
You
got
know,
a
maybe
cover on
someone
it.
used for irrigation at some point.
Totally.
You know, it could have been something that they collected rainwater and promoted infiltration too, potentially into the groundwater.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell without seeing it, but we'd be glad to help come out and do an investigation to diagnose it and see if we could figure that out.
Cool. Definitely. Alrighty, so Sean says that the Rain Reward Program mentions one of the requirements is agreeing to providing maintenance reporting on the approved/installed project. And he says if a homeowner were to sell their home within that 5 to 10 year agreement, is the homeowner required to pay back to the city what they were reimbursed?
So it depends. We would encourage you to disclose those requirements to the new property owner.
Absolutely.
If they are willing to accept those requirements, then we could just make a transfer of those reporting requirements and the maintenance requirements. We do that frequently. It's unusual, but I think maybe once or twice we have had a situation where they didn't want to take it back and it was still in that maintenance period, and there was a partial requirement to pay back. You know, it's all prorated based on how long you've had it.
Okay.
But that's unusual. Most of the time, with some education, and we're glad to help explain what the requirements would be. They're not super onerous. It's send in a picture and an email that says you've maintained it. And most of the time, the new property owner is willing to take on that
It's a good thing to continue.
and it's a benefit to them as well, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I-
Like it's a
I would
reason
see
to
it-
buy the house.
I would
really.
see it as a selling point.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. That's awesome. Okay. Jared says that he is from Pennsylvania and they have a lot of basements in the Northeast. And he wants to know, is there a good balance between getting rid of the excess groundwater, stormwater, and keeping it on the property?
Yeah, that's a really tough one. We don't have as many basements here in North Carolina. And I do know that oftentimes in that part of the country, there are some pumps, right? So what I would say is, there's going to be some big events where you're just going to have to pump it out and it's going to flow. But where possible, where you can have your sump pump discharged to a trench field that will promote infiltration, as well as your roof leaders go underground into stone with a kind of a French drain infiltration basin. That's going to be beneficial, right? You're going to infiltrate as much of that rainwater as possible, but there's always going to be events where you can't handle all of that flow, and it's going to have to flow into the stormwater system.
We didn't talk about cisterns, but could you have something that could be pumped into something, collect the water, and then use it for irrigation? Or
Absolutely. And we actually, cisterns are something that can be funded under our Rainwater Rewards program. We have a number of those. We've actually funded, if folks are familiar with City Farm or some of the food banks where they grow some of their own crops, we have funded a couple projects where they've added cisterns. They collect the rainfall off of the rooftops, and those are that water is used to irrigate the vegetables that they grow in the gardens.
That's
there.
awesome. Yeah. So the answer is, there is a balance to these.
Absolutely.
For sure. You just got to get creative with what you're pumping out and how you're using what you're pumping out.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okie dokie. Sean has another question. He says, does the Rain Reward Program apply to improving an area located along the road in an easement portion of property in front of a home? There is no curb and gutter, so there is routine pooling of water.
So we'd have to look at the site to know specifically where that water was coming from.
Sure.
But that sounds like it may be more of a road drainage and road management issue, which
Interesting.
again, we would be glad to have our stormwater maintenance crew come out and take a look at it to see if there was some grading or something else that could be done
Sure.
to help alleviate that ponding. That's probably not related to rainwater rewards, but still something we could help with.
Awesome. That's really awesome. Okay. And it looks like the questions are starting to dry up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Is there anything else we want
No
to
pun intended.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, really unintended, but thank you for calling me out.
He does that naturally.
Yeah, for sure.
It just flows through him, no pun intended.
Definitely.
Right.
I can't think of anything.
Cool.
I am a bit overwhelmed at how broad what you guys do actually is, and far-reaching, but how important it is for more people to find out about and get involved with. Again, big or small, it doesn't matter how big your footprint is where you live and work. There's something that, and I encourage everybody to take a peek at their website. It's very user-friendly. It's got great information on it, and can put
Ariel
you in,
manages it.
Yeah, that's good. I was going to say that's good to hear because that is
It
half
really
of my
is.
job.
It really
That's
is.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's not always the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very user friendly and has great information on it too.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, anyone can go to raleighnc.gov/stormwater or send us an email at raleightstormwater@raleighnc.gov, or they can follow us on social media as well on Twitter and Facebook, and we will happily be able to answer any questions that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
awesome. I look forward to working more with you guys here and hopefully with some of you folks at home as well too. So thank you so much for taking a chunk out of the middle of the week to drive out here and hang out with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I mean,
Yeah.
another great reason to come out here. It's so beautiful and nice, and we're so appreciative of the invite.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
No, we really enjoyed having you here, and there's lots of people online who are very excited about this program, really excited about
Thank
the
you.
opportunities that you all provide to us. So
Great to hear.
That's good.
That's
Awesome.
really great. So thank you guys so much for coming out today. Thank you, Greg, for leading us through this garden conversation. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We will be back next Wednesday at 3 o'clock with the Horticulture Hour. So join us live with your gardening questions. We will have a panel of experts here to answer them for you. So that should be absolutely beautiful. We will see you all next week. Y'all take care.